Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Emily, and on this channel we talk about all things bookish, sometimes college life, sometimes some vacation vlogs. Today I'm going to be showing you guys all my favorite books from 2023, and I know I'm a little bit late to the game. I know it's a little late to post this video, but it's still the end of January, okay? I feel like I have a little bit of time left that I can show you these books, and I really want to because they're so phenomenal, and I don't think I've really talked about them too much on this channel. So we're about to, but before we do, please subscribe, comment down below, do whatever you want to do, and let's go into the books. Not that it matters, but this is the order that I read them in 2023. I thought it would be like a little fun, but the first ever book that I read in 2023 was Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. Guys, I know this book is really popular right now. I know everybody's raving about it, but in 2023, it was still popular, but not as popular. And this is a big new adult romance, and I've read hockey romances, I've read new adult romances, and I've never given one a 5 out of 5 stars. They always let me down. They're always either too childish or just not good enough, like the plot's not there or the writing's not good. Something's always off. And I feel like I went into this not expecting a lot. Like I really went into this being like, oh, whatever, it's just another hockey romance that's super childish or just not good. But boy, did this surprise me. 5 out of 5 stars I gave this book. I'm still thinking about it to this day. And Anastasia, okay, let me tell you what this is about. It's about a girl named Anastasia who is a ice skater and a guy named Nathan Hawkins who is a hockey player. And they don't really like each other. At least Anastasia is trying to be like a little fireball, which I love. But something happens with the skating rink where they have to share an ice skating rink, and then Nathan kind of takes over for Anastasia's partner, ice skating partner, which is like a whole entire plot twist in and of itself. Like why? And that was a really bad synopsis. But I'm telling you that this book, oh my gosh, it's so good. Nathan. This book is pretty spicy, but I'm the type of person that if there's no romance in the book and there's all spice, I can't. Like, I really don't like it. That's why I hated Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. This book, perfect amount of both. Perfect balance, perfect everything. The Uber scene, what was that? What was that? Please tell me if you've read this book. You know what I'm talking about. Oh my, what? The banter from the very beginning was so good. You end up loving the characters, and not just the main two characters, but the side characters as well. You kind of learn about all of Nathan's hockey team, and just how they interact with Anastasia is so amazing. And then you just kind of get their fiery, it's not hate, but it's definitely like annoyance to love. And then like how they become friends, and then more than friends, and it's so good. I just got Wildfire for Christmas by my boyfriend's family, and I can't wait for that book. I think it is within the same world. I think it is. So I don't know who it's following. I really haven't even looked too much into that one, but I'm so excited because if it's anything like Icebreaker, I know it's going to be 5 out of 5 stars. Next up, we're going to be talking about YA contemporary novel, which truly not only might be one of my favorites of the year, but my favorites of all time. American Street by Ibby Zoboy. I've read Pride by Ibby Zoboy, and I gave that one a 3.5 stars. It's okay. I mean, it talks a lot about gentrification, but this book shines and stands alone and is just phenomenal. This is about a girl named Fabiola, and her mother are coming from Haiti to live in Detroit, I believe. And while she's at the airport, her mother gets detained by US immigration, and she has to go all the way to her cousin's house all by herself. She doesn't know these people. She doesn't know America. And it literally starts off with her literally saying, "If only I could break the glass separating me and Maman with my thoughts alone." Oh my gosh. It is so phenomenal, so good. You learn a lot about her culture. You learn a lot about visiting America for the first time, and specifically a lot about you can be the kindest, most soulful, most beautiful person, and it is so easy to fall in with the wrong people and get yourself mixed in a really bad situation. This is the type of book where you are desperate and you need to see someone else's point of view, and once you do, you're just like, whoa, like it hits hard. One of my favorite things about this book was when she came to Detroit and she's like, whoa, there's so much dirt on this street, but I've also never seen a paved road before. And it's like talking about all these things that she loves about America, but all the things she also hates about it as well, and how much she wishes she could go back home. But also at the same time, she's like, it was also so bad at home. It's like this love and hate, and it's like I miss, but I don't miss, and I miss my mom, and it would be so much better if she were here. The feeling of loneliness is so prevalent, and Ibby Zoboy makes you feel all of these emotions. The writing is so stunning, and I'm literally telling you, out of everything, please read this book. Not like any other YA book that I've ever read. Obsessed, amazing, literally one of my favorite books of all time. Please read it. Okay, next up is a book that I actually don't have with me. It is The House on Mongo Street by Sandra Cisneros. This book is unlike any other book that I've ever read about, and I've heard about it here and there. I feel like it is kind of like a classic. I feel like a lot of people have read it, but it is not talked about enough. This follows a girl that lives in a multi-family household in Chicago. She's also Latina and poor, and it's kind of like each chapter is sort of like a very short story, it's kind of flowing like her thought process on living in Chicago, in this house, on the street, with these people around her, in a trapped family. Cisneros really wanted you to be able to open up the book, and whatever chapter you're on, you will automatically make sense of it. And you don't need to read the beginning of the book to read that chapter, if that makes sense. And each one stands on its own, and it's so good and so prevalent. Kind of like American Street, it kind of makes you change your perspective and see it from a completely different narrative than what you're living today. There's so many symbols in this book, so many metaphors, and it's so childish. Sandra was actually a teacher, and all of these little stories of these different people are actually based off of children that she taught. And I find that so amazing because you're actually reading about real stories. If you've heard about The House on Mongo Street, just read it. I think it's so short, so easy to get into, so simple to read, literally perfect for any age, so I'm making you read it right now. This next book I debated on adding to this video. It's from Blood and Ash. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. I'm absolutely obsessed with this book, but the series as a whole, I really don't like. I've read 3 to 4 books into this series, and they kept on getting worse. This was a 5, the next one was like a 3.5, then a 3. Honestly, I would have given the next one a 2 stars. I just don't know where this book went wrong or where the series went wrong, because this book was so phenomenal. This book is about a girl named Poppy who is the maiden, the chosen one. There's this thing in their world where it's called the Ascension, where you're kind of given to the gods, I believe. Anyway, but she is veiled, nobody can touch her. She lives such a lonely life. And it says, forsaken by the gods and feared by mortals, a fallen kingdom is rising once more, determined to take back what they believed is theirs through violence and vengeance. And she soon gets a bodyguard named Hawk, who is supposed to make sure that she goes through with the Ascension, but maybe he's not who he says he is. Maybe that there's this little romance that goes on. This book, I feel like it's pretty thick. It takes part in 3 parts in my mind. It doesn't say 1, 2, 3 in the book, but like it's before Hawk, during Hawk, and then after they leave the kingdom, or not the kingdom, but like where she was living. And each part is so well read, so well written, so phenomenal. I love Poppy as a main character. The world building this novel was so good. I loved learning about who Poppy was, what she was there for, who is the evil, what is the evil in this book, who are the bad people that we're trying to hate, who do we love, who can we trust. It was just so great to learn about. And then when we get to Hawk, when he comes in, oh my gosh, it was so good. I know a lot of people say that this is just like a big smut novel, but it's complete the opposite. I would say that it is for the rest of the series, but the first book, it's such a slow burn. Hawk takes such great care of Poppy. He's so kind, so gentle, so sweet to her. He's literally the best guy that I could ever dream of, and I love him in this book. In the end, there's this huge twist that you could have never seen coming. And at the end of all of her books, there's such a cliffhanger that you're like, oh, I have to continue. And that's honestly what kept me going for 4 books. With the rest of the book, what is Poppy's lineage? If you read this book, you know what I'm talking about. They flipped the plot completely on its head. Nobody is who they thought they were. There's times where Hawk and Poppy are like yearning for each other, but they're not together. And there's this whole miscommunication. And not miscommunication, but I just did not love it. But this book was so magical. Like one of the best fantasy romances that I've ever read in my entire life. Again, I was debating on putting it in here because you would want to continue the series after you've read this book, but I'm just going to warn you. I'm just going to say maybe read this book, maybe the second book, but it is so good. I think somebody has to at least read the first one because wow. It's everything that you could ever want and more. Heading into a memoir, I love this memoir. Every single time somebody asks me for a book recommendation that's not fiction, this is what I always say. I Am by Maggie O'Farrell. This is a memoir unlike any other memoir that you've ever read, or if you're trying to get into memoirs, this is the one for you. This tells Maggie O'Farrell's life, but instead of being chronological, like from childhood to adulthood, like every other memoir, it talks about her 17 brushes with death. Every single chapter starts with a different body part, like a little picture and a body part. The first one is neck because somebody wrapped a binocular strap around her neck. Another one is abdomen for childbirth. And there's 17 times that she was close to dying. And it was so cool to read about. And also, since it is a memoir, you're kind of puzzle piecing everything together. So like there is one guy that she's talking about, and then later she talks about her husband, and you're like, ah, is this her husband or was this another guy? Oh, it was her husband. And it's nice to see just how she grew up and why she thinks what she thinks, how she got into writing. I tabbed this book. It was so, like, I literally cannot stress enough how much this book is so good. Like, I really can't. The writing in this novel is so phenomenal. Like, you're reading it, it's so easy to get into, but once you're in it, you're like, whoa, this is so beautiful. It's so lyrical. It's so mesmerizing. It feels like a beautiful and wonderful classic. Like, you're like, wow, I'm so big brained. Like, I can't believe that I'm reading this right now. But it's so easy to get into, and it's fairly short. There's this one part. Okay, it goes, maternal love is a great force, greater perhaps than all others. And then it goes into, it was not so much that I didn't value my existence, but more that I had an insatiable desire to push myself to embrace all that it could offer. Oh my gosh. There are more beautiful lines than that. It's just I don't really want to spoil you. I think it's my favorite nonfiction that I've ever read. I cannot recommend this enough if you're looking for a memoir to get into that's super short, super easy, super beautiful. Please pick it up. I urge you. It's amazing. I promise you it will not disappoint. Okay, next up, back to romance. I don't have the book with me, but this book, oh my gosh, the Windy City series. I'm not talking about the first one, but I will briefly talk about it. The first one is called Mile High, and the second one is called The Right Move. The Right Move. The Right Move. These are Kindle Unlimited books, so please go get them right now. Please. The first one is about a flight attendant and a hockey team, and this guy on the hockey team, and they're both very laid back, I feel like, in their relationships, but kind of not a hate, but like an annoyance to love, one night stand type of thing, friends with benefits type thing, leading to a little bit more. That one I gave 4 stars. We're not going to talk about it. But the second book, it's all about the brother of the girl in the first book and the best friend of the girl in the first book. A brother's best friend type of book? Are you kidding me? The girl love interest in this book, she broke up with her boyfriend, has nowhere to live, so the girl in the first book offers for her brother to take her in, and so that they're living together. Forced proximity, are you kidding me? The brother is a basketball star. She's also a flight attendant. And just the reason that this is my favorite book out of the series, okay? Because the man in this book was written perfectly. I'm a big person that my love language is acts of service. I pay attention to very little things, like maybe making the bed sheet and buying a bed sheet that's her favorite color because she mentioned it once, or putting the coffee in the refrigerator because she knows she likes it cold. Both of those things happen in this book. He pays attention to her even when they weren't friendly, even when he was so annoyed with her, and even when he was just like, yeah, no, why is she here? I really don't want her here. He was still like that, and he's so gentle, so caring, so loving, literally the best. Literally take him out of the book and please place him in real life, like obsessed with him. And just how she interacts with him, their little banter, the way they talk. Again, I'm a big person that is heavy on the romance. Like, yeah, sure, there can be spice in the novel, but it needs to be heavy on the romance, and it was heavy on it. And of course, there were cameos from the characters in the first book, which I loved, because although I didn't give that book a 5 stars, I still really enjoyed it. This book, though, 6-star book. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, so good. All of these are pretty much 6-star books, by the way. Like, pretty much all of them. Last up is The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I know every single person is talking about this book, and I know I'm just adding to the fire. Like, I know I'm just another person talking about it. But if I'm the one that convinces you, thank the Lord, because this book is so good. I'm gonna be honest, I had 0 expectations for this book. I honestly didn't think it'd be that good. I thought it was just gonna be another 4 stars. My friend Madison convinced me to read it. And by the way, guys, it's only $11. I'm gonna be honest, with all of my nonfiction and adult romance books that are $20, $11, and then I have the 10% discount for Barnes & Nobles. A deal. Literally, who isn't gonna buy this book? Are you kidding me? This book is about a girl named Avery Grams, and basically she's pretty poor. Her mother died and her father's not really in her life, and one day she gets a little letter and she's like, hey, you basically got the entire inheritance, almost the entire inheritance of this billionaire that you had no recollection of. Like, you don't know him. And so one of the stipulations to receive this inheritance is to live at his estate for a year. And she realizes that there's this puzzle, these games, to figure out why she got this inheritance. And she has to team together with the brothers to figure it out. This book is so good. It's a pure mystery. It's not like a mystery thriller, pure mystery. So phenomenal. My favorite, absolute favorite thing about this book is the characters, specifically Avery. I know when we read, especially YA, because this is a YA book, you read main characters and the girl is either annoying or not relatable or plain or just literally nothing like you want her to be. But Avery is everything you want her to be. She's so relatable. She's so kind. She's very vulnerable, but she's very reliable. She understands that the only person that she can really truly trust is herself, and she leans on that. Every single decision she makes, you're like, oh, I think I would have made that same decision, or I hope I would. She's so smart, so cunning, but like in the best way possible, yet so kind and amazing and so sweet to her sister and her family. And then the rest of the characters are so good. Each and every brother has their own personality. And what's funny is I was talking about this book at work, and every single person that heard me, they're like, oh, Nash is my favorite. Somebody else said Xander is their favorite. Madison said that Xander was her favorite. My favorite is Grayson. Everybody loves each character almost equally because they're so well fleshed out, and you really get to know each and every character and you love them for who they are. It's unlike any book that I've ever read before, and the twists and turns are constant, especially the romance in here. It's kind of like a love triangle between two of the brothers, but it's not the forefront of the story, especially not in the first book. Like a little bit of it, the second book has a little bit more of it. I'm about actually to finish the final book. It's the book that I'm reading right now. I'm about to start it, and I cannot wait for the ending. I cannot wait to see what brother she chooses. So if you haven't read it yet, please do. I love this book, and I cannot wait to get into her other series. I think it's called The Naturals or something like that. Don't quote me on that. Don't know if that's actually the name, but I cannot wait to read more from her because I think she might become a staple author. I'm not even gonna lie. So those were all of my favorite books that I read in 2023. I read 65 books in 2023. So 7 books, like these are my top of the top that I absolutely adore. In 2024, I'm really trying to read more diverse genres. I feel like this is pretty diverse, but even more so. And hopefully I can read more than 65 books in 2024. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe next year I'll have the same exact video. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please subscribe, comment down below, do whatever you want to do, and goodbye.